Book 3, Chapter 1. The Hunter's Game, Sister Helena began, settling into her explanation. It is a game set apart with 4 distinct rounds challenging one's mind, body, soul, and heart in different challenges. It is made up of 4 teams of 6. Like our squads. Brilliant, Captain Zavis interjected, the dragons on his robes stirring with his enthusiasm. He caught himself, realizing his interruption, and motioned for her to continue. "Thank you, my lord," she said with a slight smile. "As I was saying, 4 teams of 6. They gain points by completing challenges. However, if they fail or can't complete a challenge, they lose points. Lose enough points and you're out. Last team standing wins." The captain leaned forward in his chair, his interest evident despite the constant whispers in his mind. Here was something that could not only break the monotony of warp travel, but also maintain their warrior's edge. The structure seemed perfectly suited to their chapter's organization and beliefs. Around them, the battle barge hummed with its usual activity, but now Zavis's mind was already working through the possibilities. Which squads would participate, how to structure the challenges, ways to incorporate both Astartes and crew into the competition. After all, if they were to honor their chapter's traditions, all members of their void-bound family should have the opportunity to participate. Captain Zavis finished his recap, handing the cup back to Sister Helena, whose red eyes gleamed with satisfaction in the dim light of his office. Her weathered face held that knowing look that all experienced barge mothers seem to perfect over their years of service. "She got me. I know it as well as she does," he thought to himself, watching her gather the cup. Centuries of command experience. And yet, here he was, neatly maneuvered into participation by a barge mother's careful suggestion. The whispers in his mind had quieted to almost nothing, as if they too were entertained by this turn of events. A Space Marine captain participating in ship-wide games. It would certainly break the monotony of warp travel. More than that, it would show his warriors that he wasn't above joining them in challenges and trials. Sister Helena stood, clutching the empty recaf cup, her red eyes still twinkling with triumph. She had served the chapter long enough to know exactly how to present an idea so that it couldn't be refused, not without losing face. The slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth told him she knew exactly what she had accomplished. The captain found himself already thinking about team composition and challenge strategies, even as he acknowledged the skillful way he'd been outmaneuvered by this veteran of void ship politics. "Very well, sister. Get the necessary paperwork and chapter master approval, but—" Captain Zavis leaned in toward her. "Don't tell anyone," he finished with a smile and a wink. Sister Helena's red eyes sparkled with barely contained delight at his response. "Of course, my lord. Complete discretion," she replied, though her tone suggested she was already savoring the surprise this would create among the crew. The whispers in his mind seemed almost amused as the barge mother gave a small bow and turned to leave his office, empty recaf cup in hand. They both knew that while she wouldn't directly tell anyone, the rumor mill aboard a void ship was as efficient as any cogitator. Speculation would spread through the crew like Promethean fire, but without confirmation, exactly as she intended. As the door closed behind her, Zavis shook his head, wondering just how long she had been planning this particular manipulation. The barge mother's ability to manage both crew and commanders was legendary within the chapter for good reason. Now he just had to figure out how to explain to Chapter Master Volix why his captain needed to participate in ship-wide games during a vital mission. Captain Zavis found himself wandering the halls late at night for no particular reason. Perhaps the sounds of machines and the hum of the warp were comforting. Suddenly, someone ran straight into him. What appeared to be loose papers and books were sent flying in all directions. Data slates clashed on the floor, sliding just out of range. The figure was looking down, gathering up papers. They began to speak. "Apologies, I didn't." The voice cut out as Initiate Marcus was now looking up at the captain. Brother Marcus, Zavis's voice held a hint of amusement. In quite a hurry at this hour. The whispers in his mind seemed to quiet, as if interested in this chance encounter during the ship's night cycle. Marcus scrambled to gather his materials, his modified Mark VI armor servos whirring in the relative quiet of the corridor. Captain, I was studying the trade routes that Commissar Valdaus highlighted, and I think I found a pattern in the... He stopped, realizing he was rambling. Around them, the battle barge's systems hummed their eternal song, the distant sound of the warp, a constant presence beyond the Geller fields. The corridor's dim night cycle lighting cast long shadows as the young initiate tried to organize his scattered research. At ease, brother, Zavis said, bending to help collect the fallen materials. Though perhaps next time keep your eyes forward while running through the ship's corridors. There was no rebuke in his tone. After all, hadn't he too been wandering the halls, driven by restlessness and the eternal whispers? Walk with me, Initiate. Tell me of what you found, Captain Zavis said, falling into step beside the younger Marine. Marcus clutched his newly gathered papers and data slates to his chest, his modified Mark VI armor clicking softly as they walked the night-quiet corridors. Well, sir, Marcus began, excitement creeping into his voice despite his attempt at formal military bearing. I was cross-referencing the Commissar's trade route data with our star charts, and I noticed something about the disappearances. They didn't happen randomly. He shuffled through his papers, pulling out a particular chart. See here? Each rogue trader vessel vanished at a specific stellar conjunction. When certain stars aligned from their position, they just disappeared. And these alignments, they're happening again, following the same pattern, but in a different sector. The whispers in Zavis's mind seemed to stir at this revelation, as if confirming the young initiate's discovery. Around them, the battle barge's systems continued their eternal work, the background hum of machinery providing a constant reminder of their void-bound existence. Show me, Zavis commanded, pausing their walk to examine the evidence more closely. The dim lighting of the night cycle cast strange shadows across the star charts as Marcus laid out his findings. Here, Captain, Marcus pointed to a series of coordinates, his armored finger tracing patterns between stars. The first disappearance occurred during the Hadrian conjunction, when these three stars aligned. The second, 2 years later, during a similar alignment but shifted by 5 degrees. Captain Zavis studied the patterns, the whispers in his mind growing stronger as he recognized the significance. And you found a similar pattern forming in the Nephilim sector? Yes, sir. Marcus's excitement made him momentarily forget protocol. But it's not just similar, it's identical, just transposed to different coordinates. As if... He hesitated. As if something is recreating the same conditions that caused those ships to vanish. The two Marines stood in the quiet corridor, surrounded by scattered star charts and ancient trading logs. The constant hum of the warp drive provided a background to their discussion, while distant echoes of night shift crew activities drifted through the vessel. And when is the next conjunction due? Zavis asked, though something in the whispers told him he already knew the answer. Marcus swallowed hard. That's the thing, sir. According to these calculations, 3 days from now, right when we're scheduled to arrive in the sector. The implications hung in the air between them, as heavy as a Terminator's armor. Whatever had taken those rogue traders might be waiting for them too, timing their arrival with astronomical precision. As they rounded a corner, the initiate continued with his explanation, his modified Mark VI armor servos whirring softly in the night cycle quiet. But there's more, Captain. The original disappearances, they weren't random vessels. Each one was carrying specific cargo, ancient technology, artifacts from Dark Age sites. The Commissar's records show requisition orders, cargo manifests. Marcus shuffled through more papers as they walked, the soft clatter of his armor mixing with the rustle of parchment. One ship had recovered what they thought was a navigation device. Another had found something they described as a beacon or transponder of unknown origin. The whispers in Zavis's mind seemed to pulse with each revelation, growing stronger as Marcus connected more pieces of the puzzle. The battle barge's corridors stretched before them, their footsteps echoing off metal deck plates that had seen centuries of service. And the strangest part, Marcus lowered his voice, though they were alone in the corridor. The last transmission from each vessel mentioned the same thing we've been experiencing. Orange skies in their dreams, and whispers in ancient High Gothic. Captain Zavis stopped walking, causing the initiate to halt mid-step. "Show me these cargo manifests," he commanded, his mind already racing with the implications of what the young scholar had uncovered.